Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So we're doing something new today. Out of Patients has always been about, well, patients, caregivers, and the endless fuckery that is American healthcare. But I wanted to go deeper into the science side, the messy, bureaucratic human side that never really makes the glossy press releases. And that's where my friend Oliver Bogler comes in. He's lived it, he's worked it, he knows where the bodies are buried. Which is why I asked him to bring his voice here, in his own segment, Standard Deviation. And now for the first time, you get to hear it. Because in the world of science, where logic is sacred and chaos is in charge, things fall apart for reasons no one writes down. And when ambition collides with bureaucracy, when brilliance hits a budget ceiling, when the system tells you to quit, one guy stays behind to take notes. So when the bench goes sideways, we send in Oliver Bogler. Here is your first dispatch from Standard Deviation.
"13 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and 5 years before that, my wife was too. We survived, but like any cancer survivor knows, there's always a fear of the cancer coming back, and the worry that there will be a good therapy if it happens. I'm Dr. Oliver Bogler, a cancer biologist supporting scientists and telling their stories. I know from my years in cancer research that a breakthrough will most likely start with a discovery made by a scientist allowed to follow their curiosity. But a scientist doesn't get to do that on day one, any more than I learned to ski on a Black Diamond run. Scientists attain research independence only after a long, arduous climb. Our story today is about one climber, Dr. Zhao, who has made it so close to the peak, research independence, that she can almost touch it. But now, she's not sure she'll ever get there.
I felt the whole world collapsed.
Na has been working towards her independence for near on 20 years, starting with her bachelor's in biotechnology and her PhD in cell biology, both from Sun Yat-sen University in Guangzhou, China.
Nobody in my world studies science or medicine.
Na remembers seeing an image in her high school biology textbook, a human ear growing on a mouse's back, early tissue engineering work from the 1990s.
So I felt that's really interesting. So I chose biology as a major, and
Then, like many scientists who make their home in the US, myself included, Na came here for a postdoc. This is a kind of apprenticeship where you work on the team of an independent scientist, and while you may have some say, after all, you have a PhD, your job is mainly to help carry out someone else's work.
My aunt from my mother's side died from metastatic breast cancer when I was 9 or 10 years old. My mother died from metastatic breast cancer when I was 11 years old. After I came to the United States, my uncle from my mother's side was diagnosed with male breast cancer. It became really personal to me. I really want to study breast cancer. I really want to find a cure.
But training to be a scientist is slow and arduous, and Na still had a long way to go before she could start looking for a cure. And I really wanted to do that. What I didn't say earlier is that the type of cancer both my wife and I were diagnosed with is breast cancer. So Na's story hits very close to home. Being a postdoc leads to the last, most difficult leg of the climb, the sheer cliff of the job hunt. Na wanted a tenure-track position, the kind of job that gives you real independence. But hundreds of people apply for those jobs.
So I started to think about looking for positions. So I first started looking back in 2023. At that time, I had 3 decent papers in decent journals. I thought it was enough. I received very few interview invitations.
Na didn't get any offers. She had to regroup. She realized that in order to stand out, she needed a grant, a career development award from the National Institutes of Health. But getting it would take months of hard work.
I felt that almost my entire career is on this grant. If I don't get this grant, I won't get any offers.
A grant is so crucial. It shows that in the brutal competition for funding, you're a winner. And after months of work, Na got one.
I really felt this time the tide was on my side. I will definitely secure a job this year.
But just as she was about to make it to the peak, things changed again.
Well, as an immigrant, I'm constantly learning new words. Well, this in this year, rescind, or that's the new word I learned this year. Job offers were rescinded, research grants were rescinded, and then my interview offers were rescinded.
The foundation of how the US government funds science was being demolished.
Early in February, a proposed cut to indirect cost was announced. To be honest, I didn't know how the indirect costs work before that. And then suddenly I realized in order for universities to hire new or junior faculties, they have to provide them with a startup package. And most of the startup fund comes from the indirect cost.
Like Na, you may be wondering, what are indirect costs? Let's step into this cozy diner for a sandwich, a cup of tea, and a brief explanation. As we finish our meal, the bill arrives. What are we paying for? The ingredients, sure. The salary of the cook who made our sandwiches, of course. But what about the restaurant's utility bills? How about their rent, insurance, or when a plumber is called? Or even the investment it took to start the diner in the first place? The answer is, of course, that all of these costs are included in our bill, and we don't get to pick and choose what we pay for. But that is exactly what the Trump administration wants to do when it comes to science. And the huge budget shortfalls universities would face made many stop hiring. But despite the bad news, Na still had one job offer. She negotiated for a few weeks, standard stuff for this kind of position. She was excited.
But all of a sudden, they rescinded the offer, saying because of the budget constraint they have to rescind the offer.
This was in July when Congress was passing Trump's economic plan, the big beautiful bill, which threatens a near 40% cut for NIH. It would mean funding for those independent scientists will be harder to get than ever before. And just like that, Na's remaining chance to reach the top of the mountain was gone.
Yeah, I cannot make sense of what happened. Well, until a phone call later on came in. It's from my son's daycare. My son just bumped his head. So that phone call actually is almost a wake-up call that I still have something else going on in my life. It's not purely research or a career. I still have a life.
And she's not giving up.
So I remain hopeful.
Na really wants people to understand who she is and what her generation of scientists is trying to achieve and why funding is so important.
We're really trying to find the solution for the disease. And for people like me, it's even personal. I'm really determined to find a cure for breast cancer, because in the future, I can almost predict that I might get breast cancer because of family history.
We need many, many scientists like Dr. Zhao so that they can make the discoveries that will lead to advances for all patients everywhere. The climb to independence should be hard, and only the best should get to the top. But it should not be impossible. This is Oliver Bogler with Standard Deviation on the Out of Patience podcast network. A special thanks to Sophie Crane and Transom.org.